What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. I'm doing Scepter from HackTheBox, which I think does a great job showcasing the ESC14 Active Directory Certificate Services attack because it is relatively well hidden. But in order to get credentials to start looking at ADCS, we first discover an NFS server is running on Windows, which has some encrypted user certificates. Once cracked, we can build our own certificate that gives us the authenticated user privilege, but no shell. If we ran Certipy here, it shows it is vulnerable to ESC9, but that's a false positive as UPNs aren't enabled for this certificate template. Looking at Bloodhound, we discover a path that grants us GenericAll over a user, and another user has an alternate security identity set as an email, so we can assign ourselves their email address and impersonate them, which is ESC14. As this user, we can do ESC14 again, but the trick here is we have to find another user, which we have permission to set their alternate security identity, so we can set it to an email that lets us impersonate them. It's pretty complicated, so let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, as v enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA, output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Scepter, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.11.65. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we see 13 ports open. The first one is DNS on port 53. The banner tells us it's simple DNS plus, which is the default for Active Directory, so I always scroll down to LDAP to confirm, yes, it is an Active Directory server. We see also Kerberos giving us the server time, some RPC ports that aren't really that important, but LDAP is leaking the domain name of the box along with the fully qualified name. So let's go ahead and add things to our host file. So I'm going to copy this. We can do sudo v etc host, and then we can add 10.10.11.65, put in the domain name, the fully qualified domain name, and then just the host name of the box, because Windows typically likes having all three of them. So now I'm just going to search on open so we can kind of skip all this LDAP certificate stuff because nothing else is really that important to us. So we also have 445, which is SMB, a Kerberos port, Windows RPC over HTTP. These are all just default things that I'm used to seeing, and I normally ignore them. So we have 2049, which is the NFS port running on Windows, which is a little bit odd. It's normally on Linux, and I look at the TTL here. If it was Linux, I'd assume it would be like 63, maybe 62 here, because the TTL decrements one by every hop, and we know Windows is the first hop. So if Linux was running on a VM, like in Hyper-V or VMware on this machine, its TTL would be decremented by one. It starts at 64, goes down to 63 to talk to the machine, then 62 back to us, right? So I would really expect to see NFS on port 62 if it was running on Linux. Seeing this means NFS is probably running on Windows, which is just odd. Let's see, what else do we have? It doesn't really look like that much, right? So more LDAP stuff. And I think the higher ports of LDAP are just global catalog. But really, we have SMB and we have NFS. I'm going to start with NFS because that's really quick to enumerate. There are no web servers or things like that. So I'm going to make a directory. I'm just going to call it NFS. And I'm going to run a command show mount. If you don't have this, I want to say it's like the NFS-common package. Sometimes it's like NFS util. Just search for like NFS packages and you'll find it. But we'll do show mount and then the IP address. And I don't understand what I'm seeing here with this 10.10.10.40. I think this command should show me hosts that have it mounted. And it's saying 10.10.10.40 has the share mounted on 10.10.11.65, which I don't think is true. Is it like a show mount command? Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Show mount 10.10.11.65. Oh, I ran show mount. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm thinking. If we do -E, that's going to show all the exports. And the export list is /helpdesk, and everyone has access to this. So we can mount this directory. So I'm going to do a sudo mount -t nfs 10.10.11.65, specify /helpdesk, and then NFS is the folder I had created. So now, after this mounts, I should be able to run the show mount -a command again. And see, I don't. I was expecting to see 10.10.11 something. What was my last show mount -a? Show mount. Okay, so it shows that client has it mounted. I would really expect to see 10.10.14.8 : helpdesk if I'm remembering this command right. But it's NFS on Windows, so it just may be buggy. Let's go ahead and go into a directory. We get a permission denied. It's mounted to the nobody group. If I do a sudo su, I can then go into it. I don't know if this is because like root squash NFS permission is set on Windows, so it's treating root as nobody, because when that permission bet is set, that's how it maps it, right? It maps the root user to nobody. It also could just be I'm root, so I can access anything. I didn't really dig into exactly why I can access these files as root, but NFS generally obeys on the client permission, at least when we're mounting in version 3. Doing a ls reveals there are certificates. We have baker.cert, baker.key, and a few PFX files. I'm just going to go ahead and copy those all back. And then let's go here and do a lsla. Root owns them, so let's just do a chown ipsec star to change that. And then we can go back to my user. And PFX files, I want to call them like certificate bags. I don't know if that's the correct terminology. It's just how Windows packages up both the key and the cert, and they put it in one file. And normally when you export from Windows to get a PFX, you have to input a password. So guessing there's a password there. So I'm going to look at the key. So if we look at baker.key, we have it's a encrypted private key. So we can't just go ahead and use this key. We have to try to crack it. We can view information out of the certificate. So if I look at baker.cert, we see the email address here and then the certificate information. We could also use OpenSSL X509 in Baker cert and then no out text. And this will give us a little bit more information, right? We can see the subject, which is kind of what we saw before. We know the naming convention now is first initial dot last name. We see the validity of the cert. So it was generated November 2nd, 2024. It's valid until November 2nd, 2025. It is July 2025. So the certificate is still valid. But we don't have the password to the key, right? We can see the X509 components, and this is going to have just extra information. We see the X509 v3 subject alternative name, saying this ticket has D.Baker at scepter.hdb as the user principal name, and also has their email address here. And I think that's all the good information out of the certificate. We could try to view the PKS cert, the PFX. So we'll do OpenSSL, PKCS12 in, let's do Clark.pfx, and then we'll do CL certs, I think, no keys, and we enter import password when it's wrong. So we don't get anywhere here. So now we want to start cracking these things. So I'm going to use PEM2John on baker.key, and I'm going to put this as baker.pem. We'll do baker.pem.hash. That's fine. And there's also a PFX2John. If we do that on the PFX files, we can get them all there. So I'm going to call this scepter.pfx, I guess, because we have multiple. I'll do .hash there. Okay, so we can do SCP star.hash. And I copy these over to the Kraken, which is where I run all my cracking out of. Copy into the hashcat hashes directory. And we'll go here. You don't need to have a separate box for cracking. I do it because I'm recording videos, and if I run a cracker on this, it may cause issues, right? Because it's very CPU intensive. I just recommend not running hashcat in a VM because it'll go extremely slow there. So let's go into hashcat. We can do /hashes. We have to specify hashcat, then hashes, and we called this, let's do the PFX first. So we'll do that. And then the word list, we'll do opt word list, rocku.text. And I want to say that began with usernames, right? Let's do Scepter PFX hash. Yeah, we have username : then the password hash. So let's go ahead and add the -- username component to this. And we'll do /hashcat. There we go. And see if this cracks. No matching structure. So at this point, I'm going to Google hashcat example hashes. It is in my history. And then I like just searching PFX, and we don't get anything. So maybe hashcat can't crack PFX certificates. John probably can. If we do cd opt John, let's do /John. Is it word list, opt word list, rocku.text, and then let's do hashcat hashes like this. Is this going to work? Awesome. So it cracked all these certs as new password. We can now go, I guess, and try to crack the other one, the PEM. So let's go back to our hashcat command. And I'm going to change Scepter pfx.hash. This was what? Baker dot something? Yeah, baker.pem.hash. And we'll see if hashcat can crack this. The reason why I normally default to hashcat over John is because hashcat is better optimized for GPUs and typically goes faster. John, because it's less optimized, generally gets a lot more formats. It can crack more things, but it goes slower. And we have this not work, so we did not crack it. So just like we did before, let's go ahead and view the file. So we'll do view hashes bakerpem.hash. It begins with $pem$. So let's see this. And we have two different formats. We have the private key as SHA-1, the private key as SHA-256. I'm going to change it to be a SHA-256. And it looks like all that's changing is that 1 is becoming a 2. So let's just see if that makes it work. Again, because we used PEM to John, not hashcat to John. So sometimes the two John scripts don't export in a format that hashcat likes. That could also be with PFX, and I just missed it. And it looks like we have cracked it. So if I do, I think it was in my pot file it's saying, let's just do rm hashcat.pot file and run it again. So you know I'm not cheating, and it actually does crack it, right? There we go. So there it's cracked. Let's go ahead and do a -- show. And we can see that password is also new password. So every certificate we have cracked has the password of new password. So let's go ahead and run our OpenSSL command again. Let's do not the PEMs, this on Clark. If we do no password, new password, not no. There we go. It exports it. And we can see the username is m.clark, right? If we want to view more information like we did last time, we can just do OpenSSL x509 -text no out, and then new password. And then we have the same format we saw before, right? So we have m.clark, RSA encryption. If we go down, we have the other name, UPN, mclark@scepter.htb. Oddly enough, the Baker one had a email here as well, right? Where was that one? Let's do was it -n Baker? Yeah. Let's go back here. Yeah, so we have two formats here. We have other name as the UPN and email. So these certs are slightly different between Baker and Clark. Not really important, but just things I look at when I do these types of challenges. And we could also, I should really put the password on standard in so I don't have to keep typing it. See the dates it's valid. So this certificate is still valid. So with that being said, we should be able to run Certipy to authenticate, right? So I'm going to do Certipy -auth-pfx. Was it clark.pfx? I think -p for password, new password, and then DCIP 10.10.11.65. We have something wrong. It's not -auth. It's probably just auth. PFX. That argument is wrong. I thought it was PFX. -p could be anything. Maybe password. There we go. So here we go. We're trying to authenticate as m.clark. It's getting the TGT. And if your machine is out of time, we have KDR client revoked. I'm going to do a -debug real quick. That may be what I'm expecting. Does debug go before auth? Okay, let's see. Do we get anything? Got error, client revoked, send receive. So this is the error we're getting, Kerberos client revoked. So we can't use this certificate. I'm going to go back to my OpenSSL command. Let's do new password. This one is mclark. So I'm going to show something real quick. We'll do v users.text, m.clark. What is the other user? We want to do Lewis. So what I'm going to use is Kerberos to do a user enum, and that will tell me the status of the user, like if the pass was expired, the account's disabled, things like that, right? So we'll do e.lewis here. And then there's Scott. Let's do Scott. And what is his? o.scott. And I want to say it was D.Baker before. I think I remember that one. So we can save that, and then we can do Kerberos, user enum. I think it's users.text, and then dash. Let's do dash H. I forget exactly how to specify the domain controller. Dash dash DC, scepter.htb. Domain name must not be empty. Scepter.htb. There we go. We can see 3 users are locked out. I want to say they should be disabled, but it's just saying locked out here. So I'm guessing they are locked out, but that's why we can't access them. I really thought it was disabled. Let's just try that again real quick. Yep. Okay. So they're all locked out. The only valid one is D.Baker. So I'm not going to bother using certificates from M. Clark, O. Scott, E. Lewis. I'm going to focus on D.Baker. The issue I have, though, is in order to authenticate, I need to get it in PFX format, and I only have the key and the cert. So we're going to use Certipy again. So I'm going to do, OpenSSL to create the PFX. So let's do OpenSSL. pkcs12-export, and we'll do in key, baker.key-in, baker.cert, and -out baker.pfx. I'm going to do D.Baker.pfx, so it simulates how all the other ones are. New password is Baker's key, and I'm not going to put an export password. But now, since we have the PFX, we can just run that certipy command again. So we'll do certipy auth pfx d.baker.pfx and then DCIP 10.10.11.65. If I can spell certipy correctly, we can see it getting TGT. And once it does, we should be able to authenticate as D.Baker, right? It is taking time. There we go. And if this doesn't work, you may have like a time issue. So I would recommend doing NTP date 10.10.11.65 and updating, right? So if we do sudo NTP date like that, it will sync your time to the domain controller. So if that command doesn't work, if you ever get like clock skew errors, I'd highly recommend fixing the time of your system. So let's see, Certipy, we have now a D.Baker CC cache. If we wanted to, we could, did it give it to us real quick? Hold on, let me check. It did give us the NTLM hash. So we could also store this real quick. V credentials.text. I can say D.Baker, and I'll put that there and note NTLM. Okay. So I don't need that. We can always use the CC cache file as authentication. So if I do like, let's use RustHound. And before we do, we have to use netexec to create a Kerberos file. Let's do netexec, SMB, DC01, Scepter, HTB. Is it what? Generate Kerb5 file? What is this command? Generate Kerb5 file name. So let's do scepter.kerbconf. And then what this is going to allow us to do, if we look at it, KRB-conf, it's just the KRB-conf to configure our Linux machine to talk to Active Directory. So I'll do a sudo cp scepter KRB-conf to etc krb5.conf. And we can run RustHound. And the reason why I'm using Kerberos for RustHound is because RustHound doesn't support pass the hash authentication. So we can't authenticate with hashes in RustHound. However, we can get a certificate and then use Kerberos with RustHound. So that is my workaround for using hashes. So we'll do d.baker.cc cache and then rusthound-ce, tell it Kerberos, collect all. And this is case sensitive. If it's a lowercase a, it errors out, or lowercase a, it errors out. I'll show you real quick. D for domain, Scepter, HTTP. F is, I forget what it is, but it's going to be where it talks to. I forget what it stands for. Scepter, HTTP, -z is zip. So you can see it's erroring out because it wants all with a capital A. And there we go. RustHound is running. So it's going to run all the LDAP queries and give us something we can put into Bloodhound. There we go. It's done. So let's go cd opt Bloodhound server, docker compose up. I probably should have did -d so it goes in the background, but this should be fine. Localhost 8088. There we go. Let's go administration, upload files, and let's see. Just drag and drop it. There we go. Upload, close, and it's ingesting. Refresh, still ingesting. I'm going to give it like 5 seconds and probably pause the video and just wait till it is complete. Let's see. So yeah, I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back when this has been ingested. So we have a error message actually. One file failed to ingest as JSON content. So what I'm going to do is pass these all manually because I don't know what one failed and I don't know if all the data is there. So I'm just going to create a directory bh and then let's go in there. We'll do 7-zip x ... What is the file? There we go. So now we have all the JSON files. I wonder if I can cat star pipe standard out to dev null and then JQ dot. Let's do JQ dot like this. No errors. I was hoping JQ would tell me what JSON file was bad, right? Let's see real quick. I don't know if my logic there is good. So I'm going to do test.json, v test.json. Let's break this JSON. I just deleted a random character. That should be enough to break it. So if I cat test.json, oh, I'll just run the same command I did before. Yeah. So if we have invalid JSON on one of the files, I know that will work. So I'm not sure why Bloodhound didn't like this. But I'm just going to upload all these individually because that way, if it does have an error, it should tell me which file. And emphasis around should. My logic's not always fully accurate, right? But we now oh, it just uploaded them all individually. I was hoping it would like create 10 entries on this table. So I'm going to pause the video. We'll come back when this probably says partially complete. So, yep, we got the same exact thing. So we could upload these one at a time, but I think that would just take too long. I'm just going to like go with it and see what data we have. So if I go over to Explore, let's see, we have D.Baker. It does show up in here. So we have some Bloodhound data, which is good. I'm going to add D.Baker to owned, and then we're going to go over to Cipher, and then we're going to do shortest path from owned principles. Or owned objects, I guess it's called. And we can see a path here. So D.Baker can force a password change on A.Carter. And A.Carter is a member of IT support, which has GenericAll over this staff access certificate. So if we click on staff access certificate, we can see there's one user, D.Baker, which is a little bit odd. But what this path tells us we can do is gain essentially GenericAll over D.Baker through A.Carter. So we could use D.Baker, change A.Carter's password. A.Carter has GenericAll over this OU that D.Baker is a member of. So essentially, A.Carter can take over D.Baker. So it's like we take over A.Carter, then use A.Carter to take over ourself. And what that gives us is GenericAll over our user, which enables us to manipulate more privileges, or not privileges, more attributes in Active Directory, right? But we don't know what attribute to edit, but that's just what this path allows us to do. If I look at D.Baker, we could also show outbound object control. And we can see D.Baker is also a member of staff, and staff can enroll this staff access certificate. We also have a few default certificates here that domain users can do. And we see change password over A.Carter. So if I look at what A.Carter can do, let's go back to outbound control. A.Carter, very similar to D.Baker, but cannot enroll this certificate, right? The enroll certificate's not there. GenericAll over this access is. So we kind of want to look at that certificate that D.Baker has. If you go to like the certificate ones, look at certificate with no enrollment or no security extensions, you can see staff access certificate is here. And this is normally ESC9 vulnerability, which is going to be not applicable here. And we'll get into that in a minute and probably dive more at the very end of this video. But at this point, I'm guessing there's going to be something certificate related, and my Bloodhound isn't showing me, but I can run a different tool, Certipy, to look at certificates, right? And I'm running Certipy as D.Baker because D.Baker is the one that can enroll the certificate. If I change the password to A.Carter and ran Certipy, probably wouldn't show the same thing because A.Carter can't enroll all these certificates that D.Baker can. So let's do Certipy find -vulnerable. User is going to be D.Baker. And I'm going to go ahead and put his hash here. Let's cat credentials. We could also use the CC cache file for authentication. But we can also do passwords. So we can do -hashes. And then we want DC IP 10.10.11.65 and pipe it to standard out. I think there's different formats like standard out, JSON, things like that. Since we're looking at the data, not a program, we definitely want standard out, right? And there we go. It's starting to work and it shouldn't take too long. There we go. It says it's vulnerable to ESC9. If you want to see ESC9 exploited, check out the certified machine. The reason why I think this is not vulnerable, and again, I'll dive into the end of the video when we can like get remote desktop and show the GUI, is, where is it? The certificate name flag needs to have UPN, the user principal name. We're only doing alt require email here, and we have require DNS SCN and subject require email. So because UPN's not here, we can't do ESC9. So it's not actually vulnerable. We're going to do ESC14, which is similar to it, but takes advantage of the email functionality. So let's see, where was that? We have this subject alt require email, and this is going to be a hard one to find. One of the users has a X509 attribute of this in their account. And Bloodhound and a lot of the tools I used to using don't show this. They probably could show it. It's probably just not coded. I don't know how like common this type of thing is, but you could find it two ways. I'm going to show the first way, which is just going to be netexec. So if we did netexec LDAP scepter.hdb, D.Baker, hash. Do I still have that on my clipboard? I do not. Let's grab his hash. And I don't like this way because I'm going to have to go through every user individually, right? So we put this hash, and then what's next? We want -- query. Sam account name is equal to, and this is in parentheses. We'll do ourself. And doing the second double quote here is going to give me every attribute. And I think most people, when they solve the box, they look through all these attributes, doing it one by one, looking at them. We could go with a different user. Let's see. Search. Let's just do domain users. I probably could use JQ and do it that way too. Right. But there's only 9 members. We have D.Baker there. M. Clark, O. Scott, E. Lewis. We knew these accounts were locked out. So you have p.adams, H.Brown, and A.Carter, right? If I look at, let's do H.Brown. And go through these. Member of, let's see. Log on hours, password last set. User principal name. There we go. We have an alt security identities. And it has this email address here. So what that's saying is certificates with this email address can authenticate as H.Brown. A better way, I think, to search that, if you knew from the Certipy output, again, like where it says here, this alt require email, if you're like, oh, I know what that field maps to an Active Directory, which I did not when I solved the box. I'm assuming most people don't, but you could just query LDAP for that, right? We could search for all accounts and pull only that attribute. And let's see, if we scroll up, there we go. The one that has the yellow text, we see it there, right? So that's the key piece to find. That saying this attribute is set for H.Brown, because what we can do, if we go back to, what is show path from owned, right? Is it Active Directory, owned objects? There we go. So we can use D.Baker, change A.Carter's password, give ourselves access to staff access certificates. And then when we have that GenericAll, we can use A.Carter's account to give D.Baker H.Brown's email address. Then when we register a certificate, our certificate's going to have D.Baker's UPN and H.Brown's email. And because there's H.Brown's email and H.Brown has that alt security identity set, we can authenticate as H.Brown. So that's a little bit of a complicated attack. So I'm going to put it here because I like just walking through. So the first thing we're going to do is reset, was the user password? A.Carter password. Then we're going to have as A.Carter, what we want to do is take over the staff. We'll take over, I'll just say D.Baker. And then A.Carter add X509 alt email to D.Baker. And then we can register as H.Brown, or probably log in, right? So that is going to be the attack path. So to start this off, let's use netexec to change the password. So we'll do nxc, smb, scepter, hdb, u, D.Baker, and then we want to get the credential. So we can grab this. And let's see, -h, the hash, m, change password, -o, user A.Carter, and the new pass I'll do as please subscribe, bang. So let's see. We have now logged in and we have changed A.Carter's password. So the next step to do is take over this account. So let's do BloodyAD. --host dco1 scepter HTTP scepter.hdb users A.Carter. The password was please subscribe. And then we're going to add GenericAll. And we want to give it this OU. Object information. This distinguished name, copy. There's the OU. And we give it to A.Carter. Okay, A.Carter now has GenericAll over that OU. So we should be able to use BloodyAD again to set the password. So I can do this, set object D.Baker mail, and the value is going to be H.Brown at scepter.hdb. And this was that X509 alternate attribute, right? So we have D.Baker's mail has been updated. So now I'm going to use Certipy, request, username, D.Baker at scepter.hdb, hashes. I have to put the clipboard back. This pane. Copy. And the reason why I always do a colon the hash, because the format is LM hash colon NTLM hash. LM hash isn't used anymore, but you still just do the colon to tell it it's an NTLM hash. So we'll do target DCO1, Scepter, HTTP, the CA. The default CA name, let's see, that would probably be, what is it? Is it here? It's in the Certipy output. Do we run it here? -CA. There we go. Scepter DCO1 CA. This is what we want. Like that. And what else do we need? The template. And that was staff access certificate. I think it's certificate. It's either certificate or certificates. Let's go with not that. D.Baker. Look here. Outbound object control. Enroll. Staff access certificate. Okay. So we have that. We'll do DCIP 10.10.11.65. And I'm going to hope that permission bit is still set. The auto cleanup scripts could have went off and changed all the permissions back because I took a little while to do all this. But we'll see. Sure, let's overwrite the certificate. Okay. So now we can do a, what was that OpenSSL command we did? What pane was that? That was not that. I bet if I did a search on pipe OpenSSL, there we go. We have it doing with Clark. It was what, D.Baker? Password, we didn't specify a password. There we go. And it's still set. So if we look in the certificate, this is going to be D.Baker certificate, right? We see CN D.Baker, but the email address is set as H.Brown at scepter.hdb. We can see alternate subject name is H.Brown. So what that's going to allow us to do is now request a ticket as H.Brown. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do Certipy request dash username D.Baker at scepter.htb. Oh, no, we want auth. We'll do auth, PFX, D.Baker.pfx, DCIP 10.10.11.65, domain scepter.htb, and the username we want to auth as is H.Brown. So there we go. We see Certipy is using the user principal name of H.Brown at scepter.htb, And because our certificate has that email and H.Brown's account is configured to allow that email to authenticate, we get his hash. So let's go ahead and add this hash to our credentials. V credentials.text H.Brown. And I guess I should specify NTLM as well. And let's take a look at what H.Brown can do. So if I look here, let's go H.Brown. I could add to owned principals. Let's do that real quick. And then we do outbound object control. We don't see that much. We can enroll a few certificates, so nothing really stands out. If I look at member of, we can see remote management, so I can use WinRM. Help desk admin, don't know what that is. CMS, don't know what that is. Protected users, so I won't be able to use NTLM authentication there. And domain users. But the remote access, remote management gives us WinRM access. So we could log into the box, right? So if I wanted to, we could do evil WinRM. We have to use Kerberos name, I think, is equal to, do I have it? Yep. Let's see, -K -I 10 10 11 65. Is that enough? Missing argument IP. Let's see, is it not -K? No, I don't think so. User, let's see. -realm, let's do Scepter HTB. I'm missing a flag, I think. So let's see. I don't see any Kerberos. Let's see, if we do IC as DC01, Scepter HTB. Let's see if this works. That does. Kerberos is very, very picky about host names and stuff because that's how it identifies who things are and stuff. So with Kerberos, generally don't use IP addresses, use host names. But as this shell, we can go to the desktop and then we could get user.text. But there's not much else we can do, right? And this next step is also a little bit tricky to find. The easiest thing I think to do, like when Bloodhound and everything is giving you issues and you can't find much, is to run BloodyAD get writable. You could also like run PowerShell empires, find interesting domain ACL, things like that. But I'm going to run BloodyAD. So we're going to do Kerberos name is equal to H.Brown like this, then BloodyAD. And we can get rid of these notes because we're no longer doing that. Let's see, BloodyAD, what after this? Host, DC01, Scepter, HTB, -D, Scepter, HTB, then -K, get writable. And we can see we can write over p.adams. This isn't telling us what we can write, but we could just try it and try to write the email address to p.adams. And then if we have an email address on p.adams, then we can give it to D.Baker, and that would let us authenticate as p.adams, right? If you wanted to, you could go back and run, what is it? DSACLS. And then CN, where's p.adams here? Let's get his full thing. p.adams. Where is this? Distinguished name is what I want. So we could run this DSACLS command. And this will list everything, right? And if we look, let's see, we want to look at like write specifically. There's probably better ways to filter this. Allow. That is not exactly what I wanted. This command should have had more information. Oh, it aborted. Even WinRM crashed. It does that occasionally. Let's try this again. Run this. Okay, we see the command completed successfully. There is a lot more lines to this. So now if I just search like write, we can see things we have. So this is TPM enforcement, attribute. Let's see. I probably should just search for like alt or something. But that's showing the permissions on everything. If I look, because I'm in this CMS group, there's a special access on H.Brown for alt security identities to give me write access. So this is the DSACL command showing you specifically what you have. But again, if you just ran the get writable on BloodyAD, it's not a big leap to say, oh, I can write to p.adams. I wonder if I can write the alternate security name and then authenticate as that user, right? So we're going to pretty much do the same thing we did from D.Baker to H.Brown, except this time we're going to put a X509 alternate security attribute on p.adams and then change D.Baker's email to be whatever we set and then log in. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do, let's see, we have this BloodyAD command and we'll say set object p.adams alt security identities. I think that's it. -v and then X509. What is it? X509. This is what I want. The colon RFC. I don't know if that's specific. I haven't really tested it without setting it this exact format, but normally Windows is picky about those things. And I'm going to set it to IPsec. It doesn't matter what it is. It should probably be p.adams to stand out more, but I just want to show that Active Directory only looks at this email and allows anyone like that type of thing, right? So there we go. We have p.adams security identity has been set. So let's see. Did I do it here? I did. So BloodyAD host Scepter A.Carter, please subscribe. And I'm going to change D.Baker's to be IPsec. And this failed because invalid credentials. So I'm going to rerun all the steps I did before here. So if we go to vnotes, we want to use that netexec to change the password. And then after we change the password, we're going to want to add the GenericAll. I'm using Control-R and then typing things I typed before to reverse search my history, right? So we added GenericAll. Then the next thing we want to do is set that thing and not there. H.Brown. No. I may just have to type out this next command. If we hit up enough, we probably find it. Let's see. That's Certipy. Host. Was it here? Yeah. So here we are setting D.Baker's mail to be IPsec at scepter.hdb. And we have IPsec at scepter.hdb for p.adams. So now we just want to do that request. D user H. I guess we should run Certipy. I don't see it in my thing. So we'll do Certipy auth PFX. I have to generate a new one. I have to get a new certificate, I think. Because our current PFX file only has H.Browns. So let's do Certipy request, username, D.Baker at scepter.hdb, hashes. We can exit this so I can cat credentials easily. Put that in. After the hash, we want to do target DC01 Scepter HDB CA. Was it Scepter DC01 CA template staff access certificate DCIP 10.10.11.65. So this should request a certificate. Come on. It's thinking about it. Already exist. Yes, it wrote it. Which pane did I do that on? Right here. So now if I look at my certificate, I have the subject alternative name as ipsec at scepter.hdb. That is what we want. So now I should be able to use Certipy to auth. So we'll do Certipy auth PFX D.Baker.pfx DCIP 10.10.11.65 domain of Scepter HTTP username p.adams. And there we go. We got the hash for p.adams. So now we have p.adams as owned. If we do cipher, this is this shortest path from owned already? We're a member of replication operators, which is going to give us the ability to DC sync. I'm surprised it's not showing that in Bloodhound. Maybe that's why like we had a partial import or something. But p.adams should be able to get to administrator. Pathfinding, let's do p.adams, destination node, administrator. Does it see anything? I don't think so. But let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to do a SecretsDump scepter.hdb p.adams at DC01 scepter HDB -k no pass. And we'll do Kerberos5cc name is equal to p.adams.cc cache. The reason why, where is it? The replication operator can DC sync because that's saying they can replicate the Active Directory, I believe. So there we go. We have all the hashes here. Let's see, administrator's credential. Let's just try a psexec with this. So we can copy psexec.py -hashes, paste that in. Administrator at scepter.htb, requesting a share, uploading, starting the service, and there we go. So we can go users, administrator, and then desktop, and get root.txt. So that is how you solve the box, but I do want to take a step back and let us enable remote desktop, log into the box, and look at that, making it vulnerable to ESC9. So what I'm going to do is paste something I have in a notepad. This is just something I save because it enables remote desktop in one command. So now I could just log into the box. I don't remember the password of administrator. So I'm just going to change it to please subscribe and then a bang. I forgot the user, so let's add net user administrator. So we can do net user administrator. There we go. So now I should be able to xfree RDP into this box. So we'll do /v, the IP address, /u, the username of administrator, and /p, please subscribe. And I always like putting this in single quotes because I never know how Bash is going to interpret that exclamation point, right? So this will give me RDP, which makes it very easy to just browse the box as an admin. And I'm going to go into the certificate authority. And we're going to look at the permissions of this certificate, right? So we have to click manage on certificate templates, and that will pop up this screen. And we want to go to the, what is it, staff access certificate. the subject name, and this is going to be the values. So let's look at what this looks like in Certipy. So let's just do a dash vulnerable, and this will be the output we saw earlier. And I had mentioned something missing, right? So this command will take probably about 15 more seconds to run, hopefully a little bit shorter. I don't know what's taking it so long. There we go. And as soon as it gets this configuration, it's pretty quick. So vulnerable to ESC9 because the template has no security extension. I think that's just meaning it's not validating information a lot. I don't know exactly what it means, but the certificate name flag, this is what those checkboxes is. The alt require email, DNS SCN, subject require email. We have DNS SCN right there. This is probably the alt one of alt require email and then require email, right? For ESC9, you want UPN and those two not checked. So first, let's just try to do ESC9 without any modifications. So we confirm it fails, right? So let's go ahead and not that one. Was it equal? Please subscribe. There we go. So we have to change the password for A.Carter. And then after we do this, we want to make give ourselves GenericAll. So we'll do, is it GenericAll? There we go. So now we're giving ourselves GenericAll. And here's where we do something slightly different. Instead of setting the alt email, which we did before, we're going to use Certipy account A.Carter. Please subscribe. DC IP of 10.10.11.65. And we're going to set the user principal name to administrator for the target user D.Baker. And then after this, we just have to request a new certificate. I bet if I do request, this looks fine. D.Baker, target. Yep, that is all still the same. And we're going to attempt to request a certificate, and I think it's going to fail because the UPN does not match and it's causing all sorts of chaos, right? Subject email required. So that does not work. So if I go back and just add this UPN flag, let's do the dash vulnerable again. And we're going to see the changes in that one field that we were looking at. Where is it? It's down here. There we go. We have require UPN, but we still have these emails. And if I try this again, we're going to request a certificate. It fails. If I unselect both of these, click apply, we do this, requesting. It's taking its time. Moment of truth. Come on. I know it's thinking. There we go. We have the administrator.pfx. So now we should be able to do, was it like -n? This should be fine. I'm going to do D.Baker.pfx. Type that to less. And let's see. What does this certificate look like? We would write to administrator.pfx. Hold on. Terminal is weird. I'm still not typing. There we go. We want administrator.pfx. Here we go. So let's see. What does this certificate say? Scepter, that's fine. Modulus. X509. Alt name, UPN administrator. So I don't even think Baker is in this. Okay, subject CN is Baker, but the UPN was specified as administrator, right? So let's see if we can auth as this. So let's do auth. We want to specify administrator.pfx. I guess I can do username administrator. Let's see. Name mismatch between certificate and user. Verify that username administrator matches the UPN. If I don't specify that. So I think we screwed something up, and I don't know exactly what. Certificate and user administrator. Let's go back to the Certipy command. Where is this? Sometimes administrator has weird privileges, right? Let's now update this to be, was it p.adams or something? That's H.Brown. Let's do p.adams. See if I can take over this user. Let's do the request. Username, hashes, target. That's fine. This should save the certificate as p.adams if it behaves like it did the administrator one. Okay. So let's go auth, specify p.adams.pfx. Verify that the name matches the certificate. Huh. I'm doing something wrong. Or it's just completely not vulnerable. Let's do administrator at scepter.htb. Let's request this. Overwrite it, sure. And let's specify administrator. So something is wrong. I don't know exactly what I am doing wrong, but I think I'm going to wrap the video. I mainly wanted to show passing that one error message. What if we do fully distinguished name? I don't think that's going to matter. I can't imagine that doing anything, but you never know. Rewrote it. Auth, no. There's probably some other thing coming into play. Let's see. Auth PFX. Let's change this UPN back to just administrator. Request. Yes. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. If there's more video content, I decided to go back and find out what the issue was, but most likely I'm doing something wrong or the box just isn't vulnerable at all. I mainly just wanted to show like you can go ahead and add remote desktop, go play with boxes on your own and whatnot. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Even though I didn't get root through ESE9 after modifying it, I'm sure it's just me doing something silly. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Okay, so I got it working. We want to do the Certipy account to set the UPN to be administrator. And then we're going to request a certificate. And I removed the email from here. I don't know if that matters. I don't think it does. But we request this certificate. We'll overwrite it. And now when we try to auth, we're going to get this error message, right? But what we want to do is go back to this update command and then change the UPN to be administrator at scepter.htb. It's weird that like it says verify the username administrator matches the UPN administrator. Don't understand that. But now that we did the second update on administrator after requesting the certificate to have the email address, this auth should work. I don't know exactly why that's the case. I may have actually explained why in Certified when I did more research on ESE9 of what's going on under the hood. If I had to guess, when we have the UPN set as administrator before, maybe it's creating some weird like duplicate thing because there's two UPNs of administrator. It's something weird. So I was just doing ESE9 wrong in the past. It goes to show you can't do everything off of memory. There's always like those small weird steps, but that is going to be it. I can show, I guess, it failing if we just start off with the UPN as at, let's do scepter.htb. We'll request a new certificate, and this hopefully will fail. And this is how I do a lot of my learning. Like, I do one thing, it's weird, it doesn't make sense, and then I just keep trying other ways and seeing if everything keeps failing, right? So all I did was put the UPN as the full UPN here, and you'd think this would work because we did the UPN as not the full one, and then generated the certificate, then we changed the UPN to be the full email, and that didn't work, right? So here we're erroring administrator matches this UPN. So I wonder if I take this off, does this work? So can we go the other way? Start with the email and then go down. Looks like we can. So the last question is, let's do UPN. Let's set it to be, does not, we'll set it to administrator real quick. And then let's request a certificate. And I'm going to say UPN of IPsec now. And now does the auth work? It looks like it does. So I think all you have to do after you change the UPN of, I think I know what's going on now. We changed the UPN to our UPN to be administrator, right? And then we request a certificate. Our certificate says maybe D.Baker UPN of administrator. And then when we're trying to use it, our account is coming up first because we also have the UPN of administrator. And then that's where it's failing. So when we changed it away from being administrator, then the only other administrator left in Active Directory must be the default domain administrator, and that's why it works. At least that's my guess at what happened under the hood here. But yeah, now that's going to be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.